think we're live. I think we are live. Okay, let's let everything catch up, all the testing happen, and then we're going to dive into this design session. So I think we're live. I think we are. Okay, looking all good over there. Let me just turn this down. Put that on mute, actually. We're going to be doing some screen sharing, so I got to make sure my setup is here. Learned in the past to have other monitors going on. That way, if we miss a screen share, it's okay. Also want to test out and see how the connection is. Now, next month I'm going to be moving, and where I'm going to have a better connection. So that should improve our live streams. But so far, looking good. Okay. I think I'm the only one here. Maybe the YouTube algorithms didn't kick it up enough. Let's see. Let's see what happens. All right. Okay, cool. The theories going to be focused on design exercises to improve web design skills. The same could be applied to building websites, whether it's with Elementor, bricks, hard coding the website. This exercise is an exercise that was taught to me by two of my early mentors. First, when I was learning web development and learning code, that's how I started off. My first mentor gave me this exercise, and it was super, super valuable. It helped me out so much more than just a whole lot of YouTube videos by actually putting in work. And I'm going to show you what that is. Same thing with web design. Later on, after I made the pivot from development to design, I had a design mentor as well. And she gave me the exact same advice. Let's see. Okay, Stacy, what is going on? So just checking in, connecting with everyone. Okay, looks like we're opening up. We're getting started here. Hello from Puerto Rico. What's up, Puerto Rico? Awesome. Rima in the house. Man, this is awesome. From Puerto Rico to Thailand. We're all here. Okay, so this is going to be a 3-part series. This exercise is very simple, actually. It's so basic, but I think that it is not taken serious enough. And it's not just for newbies who are trying to learn how to build websites and trying to learn how to design, and build design skills, but it's also for those of us like myself who's been doing this for years to keep skills sharpened, to keep, just to keep exercising, because it's like when you speak a second language, but you don't speak it in a long time, you start to forget things. It could be the same way with design and development as well. And this exercise is picking another website or another template and replicating it identically down to the detail. And that's the key. The key is down to the detail. It's those little tiny details. You see, and that's really how I could look at websites and I could tell the level that it is built in. I could see those little tiny details, but I can only see them because I've been trained to see them, because I've been taught to see them, and because I put years in doing exercises like this where I taught myself to see. There's a big difference between 10 pixels and 12 pixels. I got that joke, never use 7 pixels. It drives me crazy. And that's because I remember early on a team member had 7 pixels. I'm like, why 7? And I couldn't stop thinking about it. Like, why 7 pixels? It's just so random. And a lot of the times when we are building things, we're trying to do it by eye, and it's becoming very random. But when you get the little tiny details, then it's no longer random. It is with purpose. So this exercise we are going to do is replicating a site, not a difficult one. You don't want to choose something very challenging that's just way too difficult. You don't need to do that. It's not about trying to make the most difficult site. It's trying to get the details and replicate another site down to those tiny details. So we are going to have 3 parts in this series to run this exercise. The first part, and this is all going to be done in Figma. You could do this with the free version of Figma, but this is going to be strictly web design. We're going to be focusing on building web design and Figma skills. The first part, we are going to build our design system. and we are going to streamline everything and get it set up. And we're going to be focusing on building variables. We're going to be focusing on our styles. And then we're going to be focusing on just building systems that are easily repeatable. The second video coming out, the second live stream, we are going to complete an entire landing page. And I already got one chosen. And in the third video, we are going to take that completed design and I'm going to show you how, by following and doing everything we're doing today and inside of the next video, it's going to make changing that and making it uniquely ours so much easier, because we are going to have everything set up with variables. Everything is going to be following a design system, and we're going to use Figma tools for the design system. So we're really just tweaking the system and making tweaks to our content, to the, the different fonts. We don't even have to really change that much, but we'll take a design that we replicated and make it uniquely ours. So who's following along? Check it out as we go. All right, I'm just going to get in the zone here, and as we go, you got questions, drop them inside of the chat. Just put a Q in front of the question, so that way I know when I catch up on the chat, you got a question for me. Every time we do these live streams, is going to be open Q&A. And what is up, Keith? How you doing? See you in there. All right, I got my tea. All right, Elstec. Hope I said that right. How's it going? Okay. So I'm going to try something a bit different here. We're just going to dive right into it, because this is going to be one of those live streams that is going to be very valuable to be rewatched. That is the goal for this. So let's go ahead and open this up, and let me get my Figma board out here. Let me turn down my brightness so my face isn't blown out during this. And let's see. I'm going to do a screen share now. All right, cool. We're going to do it a little bit like this. Let me adjust this a bit. I want to make the screen bigger. Okay. Yeah, because this Figma, we got to show a bunch of things in here. I wish I could do this vertical. That would be, I got to figure out how I could make myself vertical. Let me see. Is there an option for this inside of my software? No, I don't think so. That would have been so much better. No. I don't know. What do you guys think? Okay. Let me know if this is good enough, if you can see it good enough. And I'll keep my eye on the chat as we're doing this. Hey, Kareem. All right, let's boogie. So, first off, let me pull this right here, and we are going to be doing, no, why did it do that? Don't show my emails. We are live. Not supposed to see emails on live. Art, come on, you got to be smarter than that. Okay, cool. So this is the website that I chose to replicate. And, right now we're in the middle, actually getting closer to the end of the Figma Mastery inside of the Lytbox Academy. And one of the big challenges that the students have is to choose a website that they could replicate, and to replicate it down to the littlest details inside of Figma. And I'm going to do these challenges with everyone, but I decided to do these challenges live. Now, I chose this website right here because, I was like doing a lot of research on AI. This is one of the tools I had my eye on, but it is one of those just clean, not overly complicated sites that is perfect for an exercise like this, because it doesn't have all these crazy graphics. It doesn't have all these like weird layouts and these moving parts on it. It's just a clean grid-based site. And we are going to replicate this site down to the smallest detail. And the first step we got to do, though, is set up our environment. So let me go here. In fact, all right, we'll start over here. All right. So I already have a design system blueprint ready. And you could get these, you could build one out yourself. This one, let me show you what it has included in it. We have our colors. And there's a lot of different color palettes, but we're not going to use that many. We're only going to use 2 of these really, because if we look at the website, in fact, let me move this over here so I could just easily go back and forth. If we look at the color palette, it's using just neutral tones. And when I do see one of the highlight colors is going to be this blue over here. So it's like very minimal colors, so we won't need that many. But over here, this is where it starts to get fun. And this is where a design system that focuses on variables is going to have a huge impact, because the variables are all set. We got our gaps set already in here. We have our extra small, extra small, using the t-shirt sizes going all the way up. And everything is connected to a variable. You can see here when you see that little, I can't do a zoom in here on the live screen, but when you see like a box like this around the value, that means a variable is being used. And you're going to see throughout these 3 episodes, we're going to be focusing so heavily on variables, because if you're building a site, it is going to make the build a whole lot easier for the developer. Especially if you're going to use something like bricks, you already know how this all works, most likely, because you know how the class based system with a framework, how using variables in that, how it just creates a very productive but also consistent web design. But we're going to do the same here inside of Figma. We have that for our gaps, for our content width. We have it for box shadows. And then over here too, you see we have all of our styles set up as well. We have all of our header styles. They're all connected to variables. In fact, if I were to open up this one, you can see that these are all variables connected inside of it. So what that means is we are going to be able to take our variables here that are all built out, and instead of going through and changing stuff randomly inside of Figma, we are going to make updates to our variable system here, and then it's going to reflect on the entire design. This is going to keep a very consistent design. At first, it takes more time to set this up. It takes more time to fine tune it. But once it is set up and fine tuned, the whole design, like the whole workflow goes so smooth. It is just constantly like plug in this variable, add a box shadow here, use this global style. It makes it so smooth. And like right here, we got our border radius is set up. And this is also for desktop and mobile. I went like all out on this, making a full responsive variable mode with this. And then we got our border widths. If we go over here, we got our colors that are all set up here. So those are all connected. And then our colors are connected over here as well inside of our styles. So these styles are connected here. So if you look at right here, this primary one, if I were to go in here to my variable, and if I were to change it to say, let's change it to like purple, you're going to see it's going to change inside of my style. So we're going to connect those styles to all of the elements that we are using. Let me undo that. I don't want to mess this up. And then we have more. We have our blurs. Those are all set up as well, so we keep those consistent. Our box shadows, our content width. A lot of times we have like our titles we want to break. We got our paragraphs we want to keep smaller. This is just a starter. And as we are building it out, we're going to be adding more variables to this to make our widths a bit more scalable to fit within the design. We have our gaps. Our gaps are also responsive for desktop and mobile. And then we have our icons. So we could set the right sizes to all of the icons on our site. All right, we got mobile gaps and mobile typography. This is for the free plan, because the paid plan can only do this. These are called modes. When we could set up desktop, mobile, we could create different modes for our variables, but that is a pro feature. So I do have something for the free features. We got our opacities. We have our padding as well. We're not going to do random padding, random spacing. We're going to use variables. We also got our other spacings too. And then these are all connected to our, let's say we are creating classes inside of our containers, inside of Elementor, or inside of our sections, inside of bricks. Well, we're going to create that and we're going to put something, clamp based where, hey, this is how much spacing we got on the left and right. This is the top and bottom on desktop, but we make it mobile. We're going to make it shrink just a little bit. This is all set up exactly as we would have it if we were to put a class system inside of Elementor or bricks, the same exact way. Now, I do notice that something got undone here. Okay, I see some fixes I got to make right here, but we'll do that as we are building. And then we also got our typography. So our typography set up, and we also broke it down into each of the classes that I would use on the website as well. Okay, what is happening? Let me just go check the chat really quick. This time I'm using dual monitors. I got my Okay, I'm not frozen. I got to check. Last week I was getting frozen on our call. Okay, I get it. I get it. The entire website from Figma to Elementor. I do want to do more of them. Just know that they do take time. They're not something that could just be done really quickly, but this is a really good start right here, especially if you want to start inside of Figma. So go ahead and watch the replays and follow along. Okay, now that is what we're working with. The first thing I want to do is I do not want to mess up my blueprint. Right here, this is a master design blueprint. This is something I built. I have given it away to our Figma Mastery students. I might release something like this as a standalone later, but you can follow along. You could build one out yourself. You could go to UI Kit. You can find other ones. I personally have not found one that is variable based. I found it very challenging to find Figma design UI kits that focus fully on variables. You see, the original way of creating design systems, things that can be repeatable inside of Figma, are right here inside of our styles. These are like global styles. And these are how almost all UI kits I see, what they're using, what they're built on. So it's very rare to see something that is so variable focused. But I'm sure as you see as we go along, you're going to see how powerful this is and how this really makes a big difference. Okay, now, first step, let's go ahead and duplicate this. I'm going to go over here and duplicate because I don't want to mess with my blueprint. It's just like a blueprint, like an Elementor starter site or a brick starter site. You create your blueprint to help you streamline your process. Now I'm going to close this and I'm going to jump right in here. I do, however, notice something that I'm probably going to have to fix off camera. And I've seen this happen with some updates inside of Figma where some of my variables would get thrown off. I don't know if it's an error that I made on my side, very possibly. Oh, I see what it is. Yeah. Okay, some of these did not get saved correctly. So I'm going to have to fix my variables here. You see, like right here, my section is small. Like I just spotted an error. So I want to show it. This is a point of doing a live stream to show you what happens behind the scenes. It doesn't look like it does on a YouTube video where you just open it up and everything goes perfect without the editing. But I found an error, and that is my top for my desktop and mobile did not adjust. So my medium is 100. Okay, I'm going to make my top. I'm going to make this, let me see. I got extra small. Okay, my section header, I'm going to make this 20 pixels top and bottom for desktop and mobile. For my extra small, I'm going to make this 40 pixels top and bottom. We got to fix those. I got to fix that in my master. After that, I'll end up doing that tomorrow. The extra small, I'm going to do 60 pixels on the top and bottom. I think I know why this didn't save. I found this before when I was making some changes. If you don't hit the return or enter button, it doesn't save it, or it doesn't all the time. It didn't. It looks like that's what happened here. Okay, 80 here. Let me make sure everything looks good. Yeah, you see right here that didn't adjust. 100 for mobile. Let's see here, my top and bottom. 120. You know, for my smaller sections, I really don't make them shrink too much in mobile. And I only will if it looks like it is needed based on the design. The only ones I'm going to have shrink are going to be my extra large and my extra large sections. Let me see. Yeah, because my extra large is 200 and then there's 180. I'm probably also going to have to put a banner here. And let me just show you how I actually did that. So I would go here to my section XXL. Let me go ahead and duplicate this. I'm going to pull this up here. I'm going to call this my banner. Let me see. Section, banner. And now we have 200 pixels top and bottom. I'm going to make this one to 40. They don't have rem. So for all the accessibility warriors and best practice evangelists out there, we just don't have rem. You got to convert it to rem when you build your website. Unfortunately, I wish they would change that. I hope that Figma brings rem value soon. This one, let me see. Maybe I'll take this to 220 pixels top and bottom for mobile, but we'll come back and adjust that. Okay, now I have my design system here. Let's take a look at what we are going to work with. And first thing we're going to do is set up our colors. All right. And this is a pretty easy one because we're only going to be using our neutrals and one primary, really. So let me just delete this. I'm going to delete this one, delete. Hold on. Let me see here. I'm going to delete this, delete this. In fact, I am going to, let me see. I'm just going to delete this one as well. And then for our accent, we have that blue color. I'll go ahead and create the shades and we'll create the shades for the neutral. I'm not going to make this one absolute for the colors because we're going to be ending up changing the colors anyways. What we're going to be focusing on is the spacing. We're going to focus on the elements. We're going to be focusing on doing everything with auto layout as well, building it just like what we would do when we are translating it to Elementor bricks and we're building everything with Flex. In fact, we are going to build this banner inside of this live stream. And you'll see once we start building it, we're going to start adjusting these variables and we're going to start making little tweaks to it to fine tune it. That way, when we do get to the rest of this, it's going to go a lot smoother and a lot faster. And then you're also going to see, though, how auto layout and auto laying out everything is going to be very similar in practice and in theory, just like using Flex inside of Elementor or bricks. All right. So first things first. All right. I'm going to, let me see here. Let me hide this so I can see my toolbar. I need to get some tea. When I get this tea, I'm going to check out the comments. Okay. No questions? All right. I need to pull up a plugin. Let me right click it, go to plugins, and I'm going to pull up this one for color shades. Free plugin. All the plugins that I'm using are free. They make everything just go a whole lot faster. Now, I haven't tried this before. This is going to be, you know what? This looks like a good medium. Let me see here. Let me go in and inspect. I know I could probably, oops, no. They got so many colors in their variables. We don't need that many. We're going to keep ours pretty slim. This seems like a good medium. Let me see. All right. Okay, cool. I think this is going to work right here for it. Let's go ahead and fix this up. Now, I already did some checking out on this and let me see if this works. So I got Hoverify, but Hoverify doesn't always work. Okay, this time it is working. And I can see that it starts off at FFF, pure white, and that this goes all the way down to ED. Also could see that they are using pure blacks, which I never will do. We'll start off with it, but personally for me, uh, I just don't like to use solid black or solid white. It's not really that good on the eyes. Just dim it down a little bit. That's just my suggestion. But I think this gray looks like a good middle ground. You see that Hoverify, it was so good before, but then they did changes. And I think it might just be ARC compatibility as well. I think on Chrome, it works a lot better. Okay, so let's see how this works. So first off, all right, we got our neutral one. And what we are going to do, we're actually going to pull up our variables. Let's go to our colors and set all this up. All right, I'm going to delete what I'm not using because I want to keep everything consistent. I don't want a bunch of variables that I'm not going to use. Okay, we're going to keep those, but these three were not. So I'm going to delete all these groups. And real quick, just for housekeeping, I am going to do the same over here for my color styles. We'll keep the, okay, we're not using the primary. We're just using the accent and neutrals on this one. And then we could always, oops. Okay, delete all four styles. Okay, just make sure we got it. Cool. We got our accents, we got our neutrals and semantics. And the semantics are going to be for like forms and stuff like that, actions that happen on the site. We could even, like change this to primary if you want to do that. It's totally up to you. I don't see a need to, but it can work that way. All right, now let's go ahead and go back, open up our variables, and set this up. We're first going to go to our neutral. All right, number one, I'm going to just use the color picker on this. Oh, it was using this before. What happened here? Okay, it looks like the color picker is not going to work. That's okay. I could just copy this, paste it in. Let's see here, copy that. And if you look, number 5 in this is going to be the base color that we've chosen. So I'm going to go over here to 5 and just make sure we get that base. And, kind of just pick and choose which ones we want to use in here. There's 10. You don't need all of them. You could probably just use 3, 4, 5. It is totally up to you, but I do want a little bit of flexibility. I'm going to jump it up with this one. And then let's darken it up. All right, 6. And then I'm going to go straight to 9 and 10. And I probably will have to adjust this now that I am looking at it. In fact, let me do that. First off, I feel like we should have an ED. So let me change that to an ED. You know what? That looks too close to this. So I'm just going to choose ED right here. All right. And then for the third, I'm going to go a little bit darker because now that I'm looking at it, I can see we went a little bit too soft. We got to go ahead and get a bit more contrast out of all this. I'm actually going to put my neutral 5 right here, and then I'm going to go darker with everything. So 5, let's go 7. And then we could go 8. Okay, that is looking like a better palette now. And then what do we have here? That's okay. Then we'll do 8.5. Okay, I think this looks good. We are good right here. Next up, let's first take a look at what just happened. All right, so first off, everything changed right here. Now, I would take time to go back through and put the right color codes inside of here. But the thing is, we're probably going to adjust this later on. So I don't want to waste time. I want to get into designing as quickly as possible. That's the point of having the blueprint. So it is set up where you could go in and get all those details, but come back to that when you have it all finished. So now I'm going to set up my accent. Again, let me go to my plugin, color shades, and let's find that blue color. Let's see here. And I am going to use Hoverify again. It got me good last time. So let's go ahead and get that. We'll copy it. Let's close it. Go back over here and let's put it in. And there we go. We got it. So we're going to do the same exact thing. Let's go ahead and open up our variables. And then from here, we already got the FFF, the pure white, so we don't need to touch that. We'll go right here to the 0.5. And I'm going to skip the 1. This is totally up to you. You kind of just like play this one by ear. This is where you start to make some judgment calls. 4. You know what? I think we're going to have to change something else. Let me go ahead and put this at 5 because 5 is our base. 4. Yeah, I'll put 4 right here. Let's go ahead and put 3. I'm just going to follow what they have right now. Let's go put 2. And then 1, not the 0.5. And now we'll do the same. And I'll just use the saws. I won't break it down. We could get so granular with this, but I want to get going. And there's like a fine line that we got to choose in a design project and not get stuck in perfection while still making sure we're following all best practices and getting the details. All right, cool. We're good over here. Let's go ahead and close that out. So we're set. So even if we were to go to our color styles, you can see it in here. Our color styles are done. So we're good. Now the next part, all right, this part right here is going to be really quick and easy as well. It's going to be our typography. We got to set this up. So by default, this is set to enter. Let me go up over here to my variables, and we are going to select on typography. And then from here, check it out. You can see we just manually put in the font family. That's it. And then we're going to change the font sizes for desktop, for mobile. And then we got our font weights. And everything here is already connected to a global style. So let me move this over a little bit, because when we update it here, you're going to see a change here in the actual text, because this is connected to the global style. As you can see here, here's a global style. My headers, header-XXL. So let's find what font style we are going to use. First, let me look at our base font. Pull up our inspect element. See if we can find our font family here. Font size. God, the code behind this is not so good. It looks like it was built with AI. Oh man, I've been digging into source code a lot lately with AI. I've actually found some people who have done a pretty good job. Not all of it is terrible. It is possible to get good output, but that's only if you're going to be coding using things like Tailwind and Next.js. But that doesn't work with everything. Okay, so it's kind of hard to find this. Let me pull out this. Okay, what do we got? So system UI, really? This is a font family. You're just using my system? Okay, I can see here they're using Libre Baskerville, so I do have that. We're just going to leave this at, what is it? Sans Helvetica? Yeah, they didn't even put a text right here, huh? Wow, they didn't even give this a font family. Didn't even try. Am I tripping, everyone? But it looks like they said it's a system font. I didn't see it in inspect element, and it's not showing here. So I'm going to leave mine on enter since it's already set up. We go fast and looks pretty close enough to enter to me, and we'll set up Libre Baskerville. So I'm going to go back over here, but I need to see how it is written inside of my file that has been uploaded. So let me just add some text. All right, I am going to disconnect this from, let's go ahead and disconnect that from the styles. And then I'm going to go here to pull up Libre. Okay, here's Libre Baskerville. This is a font we're going to use. So let me get this. I'm going to copy it. This is just going to make things so much easier. All right, and now pull out the variables. And I'm going to pull this side by side so you can see how this will change directly in here. So let's go one by one. In fact, okay, we're just going to do this for our headers. You can just go to all, it's okay. Copy, paste. You can see right away it changes. And let me just do that for all of these. And I just got to make sure I don't do it on my body font. Now we got our font weights and our font sizes, but we're not going to touch those yet. Instead, I found it's a lot faster for me when I start building out and coming back to my variables to make those adjustments. Okay, those are all the headers. We can see all the headers change. But when we do change it, let's say our font weight, we'll take this to 500. And you see right there, it changes directly from changing your variables. Let me do that again here. I know I said I wasn't going to, but I could take a look here and I could tell this isn't a, I could tell it's not bold. What is it? This is, yeah, 500. So I'm going to keep using this tool. It's working right now. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. It's working right now, so I'll keep it. Let me go ahead and just, in fact, let me copy this. Oops. All right, header medium. Okay. Oh, wait. Okay, so my header S did not save. Why didn't it save? So an error happened here. This should be connected. There's something wrong. Let's diagnose what it is. Okay, it's set to enter, so it got disconnected. Let's go ahead and select it. I'm going to go over here, and I'm going to connect it to my header S, my style. This is okay. Think of these as your global styles right here. We're good. Okay. And that's it. Now we are ready to build. Let's go over here to our high fidelities. I'm going to go over to homepage. And well, actually, this wraps it up, setting up the design system, the first step. The second step is going to happen as we start building stuff out, which I'll show. We'll do the header, we'll do the banner. And by the time we finish that, you should get an idea of how to set everything up with variables. And then in our next stream, we'll continue designing out the rest of the page. And then we'll follow it up inside of the third one. I'm actually excited for this series right here. This series is pretty dope. Okay, first off, let me see how wide everything is. All right, I want to see. This is what I mean. It doesn't always work. There it goes. I want to see how wide I should make my containers. Okay, let's see. Okay, that's just full. I'm just getting an idea. Okay. So it looks like this is the wide point here. See. Yeah. Okay, that's not helping. I couldn't get it. And I think it's just because the code is a little messy. All right, here we go. Let me get a sip of my tea. Hmm. All right, this looks like it's okay. Looks like it's out to 1600 pixels. They have it at 16.8. All right, that's a little bit bigger than what I usually work with. This is a 5K monitor. All right, let's do it. Okay, I don't have something set up for this quite yet, but we will set it up. Let's go ahead and press A. We'll go ahead and select on desktop, and I'm going to take this out to 2000. Since we are going to set this up for, I don't know, this isn't filling right, but numbers don't lie. Oh, I know what it is. Okay. This is set up to 16, but it has that I see what it is. I see. It has that 132. I got to do some math on this. Okay. Sometimes you got to pull out the calculator when you are doing stuff. Okay, so it's got a 1468 container size is what I see here. I see 1608. You see, this is what I mean by I mean, you look at the website isn't bad, but it's really not, there's some randomness happening that I guess it's just my design OCD that kicks in. So anyways, we're going to make this 1440. I'm actually going to shrink this down to 1600. And now what we need to do is give it a layout. We need to set it up. And I do have some global styles for that. Now, the biggest one I got is 1360. So I'm going to have to add this and adjust it. Let's see here real quick. Let's see if I have to. Let me see what I'm working with. This is my little trick that I use. I use a shape to see how big my containers are. Okay, so 1360, I could keep it like this, but if I want to make it identical to the design, it would be more like this, 1440, which is not the design system that I normally use. But if we were to do it, what I would do is let's go ahead and create our guides and fix our grids. And now I'm going to go over here and to my layout guide. I'm actually going to relabel this. Oops. I'm going to call this one 1600. All right. You see, I already put in a description here. Let me move this up so I can show you what I'm going to do. I'm just going to adjust the columns because I want the columns to come all the way out to the edge right here. Now, let me just make sure I got my math right because something doesn't feel right to me. You see, it doesn't feel right. It's supposed to have a 132. Yeah, something's wrong on it. So it's supposed to have a 132 padding on it. You know what? I am going to keep it. I'm just going to make a quick call on this one. I'm going to keep it my 1360 layout because I don't know. I feel like I'm missing something here. Okay, I can see this is 16. Like you see when you hover over it, it's 1608 pixels. Then I can see here the padding is 132 pixels. Huh. All right. Let me check out one more section. It's probably going to be the same exact thing. Ah, there we go. Okay, so it's a 1292. And then there's some spacing right here because it doesn't flex all the way out to yeah, for those of you in development, I'm sure you're already spotting some of this. This is the result of AI building websites. This is what happens. You see stuff like look at the purple on the right side. You should not see that. The elements should be going all the way out and filling up their container. The container is the div. Okay, now I know what to do. I see what it is. It is a 1360. I'm just going to I didn't mess it up, did I? Yeah, okay. I'm gonna go back here to 1360. We're gonna keep it at that. And let me get my guide. I just put a right and left guide, and then we're going to use the grid to help us out, but we're also going to be hiding it a lot. So this is one of the shortcuts, the Control G. Get used to that right there. Okay, our board is ready. Now let's go ahead and create. First step, let's go ahead and build out the header. All right, we need to get that logo. So I am going to search for it. I already took a look at the source code and it's not in there. But we're going to do Manus AI logo SVG. Let's see if we can find it. And it looks like they got it here. Dope. Can we download it? Are they going to let us download this? Let's see. Uh-oh. Here we go. All right, they got their affiliate link in. Good job, guys. Okay. Let's see here. Okay, we got it. Let me drop that in. Awesome. Okay. Now let's go ahead and get our menu. Now, first off, whenever you're doing what I'm doing right now, it is highly advisable to use two monitors because going back and forth between monitors doing this is a pain. I have no choice because we're doing this, we're teaching, we're doing this in a live stream session. But when you are following along, invest in a second monitor, get one, put the design in it, whatever you're replicating here, whatever your design is, and then what you're working on over here, because then it's going to probably speed up your workflow by 2 times at least. Okay, let's go ahead and build a menu. So I am just going to go here, create my text, use cases. All right, let's duplicate this a few times. Let's see, community and benchmarks. And then pricing. Oops. Okay, cool. Let's go ahead and select all these, and we are going to change the style of it. We're going to give this, let me see, is this, okay, it is bold. So we are going to give this a button text. And let me start off with a button text small. Now everything is going to look small because we are designing on the board, but let's take a look at what we got here. Let me see if I could get Hoverify to give me something better. All right, what are we working with here? 14 pixels, medium, 500. So this is a smaller text right here. Okay, 14 pixels. And then the line height is 20 pixels, which is, I don't know, 1.3 M, 1.4 M. Usually I'd use 1.5, but okay. And then we're also using this color, which is the lighter color. So let's go ahead and set those up. So those are looking good. Let's go take a look though at our variables and make sure that it is set up right. We are using the button text small, which is a 14 pixel and 500. Cool. That's good. Let's go ahead and just connect the color. We're going to select the global styles. And this one is using one of the darker colors. In fact, I believe it's the second darkest one, which is awesome. Let's go ahead and put this here. Let's go create our other elements, and then we're going to auto layout all of it. All right. We're going to create this little drop down right here. All right. So let's select on English. And now we need to get some icons. So this is where you could use something like Sprout UI. This has been one of my gems right here for speeding up my design process. Now, when I take on a project, I usually decide on an icon library that I'm going to get. And my go-to for icon libraries and for picking things are either going to be Flaticon, but lately I have been using UI8. I've had a membership in UI8 for a very long time. I mean, if I were to log in, you see, I've been subscribing to UI8, and I would just go in here, check out there where are the icons. I go to the icon sets, and I choose my format, Figma, and then I would just go and choose my icon set here. But we're going to keep it simple. I'm just going to choose from Sprout UI. Let me go here and I didn't want to do that. Icons. Okay. Let's copy all of these. And now I'm going to go. Oof, I thought I was editing on my blueprint. That would have sucked. That would have been a lot of work. Let me rename this. Design exercise. Should have done that early on. That made my heart jump right there. I thought I was editing. I've done it. Okay, go ahead and paste it. Now, by us pasting it, we should have our assets. And we do. We now have all of our assets right here. I mean, our components. We have our components. This is going to help speed things up. Now, let's go back over to this one, and we could go to our assets. Let's search. I'm going to search for a globe. And there we go. We got our globe. Bam. And then let's see if we can find an angle. Arrow. Let's go back here. No, I didn't want it. Yeah, let me see what they have. Okay, they haven't. You know what? I'm just going to make my own. Sometimes you could just do that. Let me go ahead and take this to 60. And then okay, I could adjust that later. All right. Sometimes it's a lot easier to just make your own on some of this stuff. And it's close enough. It's the same width as this. I'm good with it. Let's see the size of it, though. Okay, this is really, really small. So first off, let me set this is going to be the same size as my menu. So I'm going to go, and this is where we start to get really detailed. Okay, we have the right style here, so we're good with that. Now we need to make this a lot smaller. And this is where we start to get more granular. Let me inspect element and see. Okay, this is 16 pixels width. So let's go ahead and connect this, and I'm going to take it up to 16, but it's also too thick. One is too thin. Let me do 1.5. Let me see here. Okay, it's still not angled enough for me. Uh, okay, I'm not liking this, but okay. And now I am going to outline stroke. And now I'm going to smoothen these up a bit. Let me give, that's too much, 0.2. All right, maybe this one should get a 0.2 as well. Okay, enough of that. We're good. All right, let's make sure this color is consistent with everything and we have our selection color. So I'm going to select my style for this, and it's going to be my secondary. Okay, cool. We got that group. Now let's see what else we have. We got a bell and the little notification and a get started button. And then we should be good after that. So let me search for a bell. Awesome. Let me see which icon. That looks good enough, close enough. Let's see the size of it. All right, 20 pixels, but if I look close, there's a little bit of padding around it. So, and you know what? If we go here to our file, we could take this out. Let me detach it from, move out of there. Okay, let's go ahead and delete that. And I'm going to do the same here. Let me detach this. All right, get out of that frame. And let's go ahead and call this globe. And I'm going to call this bell. And I'm going to call this angle. Okay, and now the bell. Let's connect it. And, well, it looks pretty good where it's at 16. Same size as the globe. Let's go ahead and create a little dot, an oval. Boom. Maybe super small. And this is where we are going to use our accent colors. Let's go to our globals. Not our accent, I mean our semantics. And that red looks good. Now we could go in and even get deeper. Let's see if I can find this. There we go. Now if we, oh, they have the RGBA. Okay. I'm going to just leave mine as it is. But if you want to get more deeper into it, set the RG. In fact, I think we can. Let me see here. I'm overthinking it. Okay. That's about right. And then the get started button. And is it capitalized? Okay, I want to make sure it's capitalized. I want to get it just right. Now, the get started, let's make sure of the size. I want to see how big the font is, see if it is the same small. Okay, this is a 14 as well, so we're good. Awesome. Now, let's go ahead and auto layout everything. We're going to start from left to right. We're going to clean it up. And first, let's see the size of this. And it's 117 with a little bit of padding. So I'm going to take it down to about 112. And this is where we start with our variable. So right here inside of our width. Now I could just put 112. Easy enough. But I could also use a variable here. And I could put in, I'm going to use my icons for this. I could either do that, or I have another one. Let me put in width. And then I got my custom widths right here. So I don't have a custom width set to 120. I could either create one, but I also plan on using my icon widths for all my little tiny graphics, including logos. So I'm going to leave it there. Next up, let's take these and let's go ahead and frame them. And let's go ahead and auto layout it. Oops. All right, and I'm going to call this my menu. And now let's go ahead, and this is where we start to use flex. All right, we already got the gap here, and we need to set this up. So let's go to variables. Let's choose gap, and we already got our gaps made. I'm going to set this to a 40 gap. Let's see what we are using here, though. Let's inspect this. And okay, they do have gaps. The gaps is 2.5 rem, which is 40 pixels, I believe. Let me see. It's getting late here, so my brain needs a little bit of extra stuff to keep it going. But yeah, I am right, 40 pixels. Cool. So you see, we're using the variable, and let's say they were using 32. What we would do here is just go into the variables to your gaps and then adjust it. Okay, I'm going to take a quick break, and I'm going to take not a break, but I want to catch up on the comments because I feel like I've been flying here and not like paying attention, and I want to make sure I didn't like lose connection or anything. Mm. Awesome, awesome. Okay, this is a good question right here. Do I make the variables manually? Always copy and paste mine from my global design system. I created it once and then I copy and paste it. So the whole idea is to create it one time and then just reuse it over and over and then make small adjustments as we're going to start doing as we are designing the layout. So it sounds like we're both on the same track. All right. Hey, Michelle. So good to see you. Awesome. Awesome. Typography. You either love it or hate it. You know, it's one of those things where it's a up and down relationship. I feel you on it. I think typography is one of the most challenging things in design, and I think it's one of the most overlooked aspect in areas. And often when a design is bad, a lot of the times it's to inconsistent spacing, but bad typography as well. Okay, Michelle has a question. So you're able to pull out of the window for the different tabs in Figma. Wait, hold up. Let me read this. So you're able to pull out the window for the different tabs in Figma. I think I missed that part, like when you were doing the typography. Okay, and there's more. And it was adjusting live on the page. Okay, so for anybody that did miss it, let me go back over to the design system. Let's say we have like this header XXL right here. This header XXL is connected to the global style. So if I unclick everything, we're going to see our styles. These are, I call them global styles because that's just what I call it when I'm building websites. But you can see here we have our headers and then we have our global style. So this is connected to this. Now, if we look at this global style inside of it, it is connected to the variables. It's connected to the font family variable, the font weight, and also the font size. And then we also have it for mobile as well. And then when we change it, we just go into our variables right here, select on our typography, find it. It's going to be the XXL. We got our font size. So let's say I just change it to 2 pixels. It's going to get super small. That's almost invisible. Okay, 20 pixels. And that's how it changes. And the more we build on variables and connect them to our global styles, the more the more uh robust design system that we could build like this. And we could keep building it. I'm always finding opportunities to add more. All right, let me just see if there are any questions. Let's see here. I see a Q and I just click on it. Tip: you can just copy and paste the SVG code from the website in Figma. Really? Oh, okay. We got to try that. I've never done it. See, we're always, this is it. This is what it's all about. Always just learning. Okay, I got to see how we could do this because I've never done that. You see, though, this is the code. I don't know. I don't know about this. It's just so much code. Okay, I'm gonna probably have to play around with that and take your word on it and try it out in something else. But I'm glad you shared that because now it's going to sit there on my mind. All right. Well, what is going on? Okay, JC, make a screenshot and paste it in Figma so you don't have to swap. I am going to do that for the next session. I'm still going to keep both. That way I can use my inspect elements and my hoverify tool to like get those small details. But to make things go quicker, especially when I'm looking at like certain text or certain things I got to bring in, I will do a screenshot. That is a very, very good tip. That is called hoverify. It's a decent tool. I got it on AppSumo a couple years ago, but I think it works a lot better on Chrome than it does on Arc. It's a bit buggy on Arc. Okay, cool. Let's keep going. We're almost done, everyone. We're just going to auto layout this header. This part right here is actually super easy, this banner. So that part will go rather quickly. Let's go ahead and get this going. I love it when I start to get into auto layout. I feel like I'm building something. It's like more than just design. I don't know. I just you'll see in a minute. You'll see in a minute, especially when we clean all this up right here. I'm just going to call this logo because, especially if you are building sites in Elementor, this is going to start to make a lot more sense. This methodology coming up and how to structure all these auto layouts. Same thing with bricks and stuff. But yeah, let's go ahead and auto layout this. Just going to go here and oops, frame it. Oops, not twice. Okay. Hold up. All right. No. All right. All right, cool. I needed a moment there. Take a quick breather, get the rest of my tea. Okay, let's do this language changer. I don't know if you saw my battery just dip down a little bit. It's a little bit late over here. And Right now, I'm on day 17 of the 75 hard. So I've been going pretty hard at it lately, but no excuses. No excuses. Let's do this. Okay, we can see that right here. There's a little bit of space, and there's a bit more with the arrow. So this is going to be a little bit tricky. Let me zoom in here. First, let's set our gap. And I'm going to type in gap. We're going to need a very small one. Extra small. Extra small might be too small. Okay, that's a little bit better. But I need to create some more space here. Now, the way I'm going to do it is I need to position this outside of the auto layout a little bit. I have to. And then, wait, hold up. This isn't behaving right. Let me find out why. Okay, there we go. We got to center align everything. Let's make sure we move that out. Oh, yeah, we got to align this over to the left. And then our width. Okay, we got to fix width on this one. For the height, we are going to hug. Okay, that's looking good. Nothing else. Okay, this is good right here. We got our colors. Why is this? That's See, that kind of bothers me when something goes outside of the box. That means something isn't working right. Everything should be hugging inside here. So why isn't it hugging? I'm going to find out. I have to find out. I can't just let this slide. Okay, let me go ahead and outline this stroke. All right. That was a big part of it, but still, now I got this top and bottom. So let me go to the actual frame for the auto layout. It should, by hugging it. Ah, all right, something must be pushing this out. Ah, okay. It's my text. It is the line height. Okay. We're okay. I just have to make sure, like, when you're building something inside of Elementor and something's popping outside of that pink box, that means something is not where it is supposed to be. It is the same thing inside of Figma. You got to make sure when you are doing auto layout, everything is inside of your frames and you're using your controls. Now, when you're in Elementor, and you are setting up your directionals and doing all your flex controls, that is basically what we are doing right here inside of auto layout. Very, very similar, pretty much the same methodology behind it, like the same purpose behind it, but just done a little bit differently. Okay, now for this one, I'm just going to group. We don't need auto layout for that. And for this one, we are going to auto layout it. Let's go ahead and frame it. Auto layout it, label it. I'm going to call this one just button. Right here too, let me put notifications. All right, now for this one, let's go ahead and put a fill. And I am going to use my library. This is using a pure black. All right. And then for my text color, we are going to use the white. And now let's go ahead and add some padding. This is, again, where we're going to use our variables. So I'm going to go in here, select on padding. I already have a bunch of padding set up. And for, let's see, the left and right, I'm going to put, let me start with 16. Top and bottom, we will start with maybe 8. No, that's too big. Let's go to 4. Let's take a look at what we have over here. Okay, I can see we have way too much padding going on, especially the right and left. Let's see what they are using. See if I can find this easily. Okay, just 12 pixels right and left. All right. So we'll go back here. And we have 12. And now we need to get the border radius. So we'll go up here to our radius. And again, use a variable, type in radius because I got my variables all set up. Everything from none to full. And now we got our button. Okay, cool. Now let's go ahead and close this all. We are going to create containers for all of these. We're going to create a container for the left side and a container for the right side. And then we're going to create another container to wrap all around it. That way we can give it the padding on the top and the bottom. So we are just going to select on these two. We are going to group it. Oh, no, not group. No, go back. We are going to layout it. What is going on? Frame it. There we go. It's kind of hard when you got this microphone right above your keyboard. I got to get a boom mic that goes over. Okay. Let's go ahead and turn this to an auto layout. And I'm going to call this one left container. I label mine like this. I label things like containers and sections and things that I'm going to use in the website. It just makes it so much easier to understand when I'm building it in the website, but it also makes it easier to understand when I'm designing because I'm already thinking about building inside of the website. All right, let's go ahead and do the same with these. We are going to auto layout it. Let's go ahead and frame it. And I'm going to call this one right container. And then I am going to get both of these and do the same thing. I am going to frame it, auto layout it, and I'm going to call this one header. It's a bit different in Figma when you are starting to create your containers. You know, like if we're building inside of Elementor or in bricks, we start, with the section. And then we put things in the section and we put the containers as we need. But I found with Figma, it's the opposite. It's a bit reverse where we start with the elements. We start to style up the elements, and then we start to wrap containers around those. And we still try to do the same thing. Think of these containers as divs. We want to keep it as minimal as possible because we want to minimize the DOM, but we need to be able to use these containers for our flex controls. All right, let's go ahead and first set this one up here. We see we got our gaps. Let's fix this gap. And I'm going to type in gap right here. And I believe it's about a good 60 pixels. That should be fine. Let's do the same over here to our gaps. Let's take a look. This is, all right, inspect elements. All right, our gaps. 20 pixel gap right here. So we will set this to 20 pixels, apply variable. We'll go to gap. It's gap medium 20. Awesome. Now we need to use flex controls on this because you see, what we can do actually, since this is going to be our header, I'm actually going to label this section so I could identify it. I'm going to treat it as a section. See if we could get away with it. Let's spread the section out 100%. All right, this is where it starts to get fun. I'm going to try to get this right in the frame for everyone. Okay, we can leave it right there. We'll fix that. Now, we need to add space in between. We need to use our flex controls to push this all the way over to the right. And then we're going to use padding inside of the section, just like what we would do when building a website. So for this, let's go ahead and center all. Okay, you can see when we center it, it all gets centered, but let me just align this here. Let's remove the gap by removing it. Now there's no gap and it's just going to go space in between. It's pushing this container, the left container all the way to the left and the right all the way to the right. Just like what we would be doing in Flex. And I don't see a need to add any more containers right now. I think we're good. Okay, our width, this is good. We want to make sure this is on hug. when you're doing this, you're going to see inside of the next section that in the next session, as we're building out and really getting into all these auto layouts and doing less of the little styling stuff, you're going to see we're going to get really big into using these hugs, the gaps, the widths. This is where we spend a lot of time doing stuff. Just like Flex, they got your vertical, your horizontal. We even got the grid, but we're not going to mess with grid yet because I don't know. I'm still trying to wrap my head around it, to be honest. Trying to find a good way for it to be useful. It hasn't been so useful to me yet. Okay, now the left and right. So we need a set, actually top, bottom, left, and right. And remember, right here in our variables, we have our spacing and we got our sections. And these sections are exactly as I have set out when I am adding classes inside of Brick. So we're going to add in our section banner. Wait, no, not banner. Header. Okay. So let's go now to our section. Let's go over to our variables and left and right. I'm going to just put in section. Wait, hold up. Let me see something real quick. Okay, no, I had an idea, but it's all good. Okay, section, and this is going to be section header, and this is left and right. So bam, select on left and right. We're going to have to adjust that. Okay, awesome, perfect. Let's get the top and bottom again on variables. This time I'm just going to put in header. Oh no, that didn't work. Okay, section header. And we're going to do top and bottom. Okay, we need to add more spacing because this setup right here, oops, what did I do? Oval. We actually have a padding of 120 on the left and right. So we're going to have to adjust our variables for that. So let's open up the variables and let me just go. Okay, so all of our, and if you look over here for the desktop, they're all the same thing for mobile. And I do this because that's the way we build our sites. We keep that consistent padding all the way down. Now, for the smaller containers, we could add in more variables or we could use custom widths and width variables. So with this, I'm going to put 120. We don't need to change the mobile because the mobile stays the same. I'll just copy and oops. Copy and paste all this. And watch, since this has the section header, you're going to see it's going to fall into line right now. There we go. And now it's on track. So we got that. Now, if we go to the desktop, I'm going to call this one Manus homepage. And if I were to turn this to an auto layout, and we have the gap here, let's put this to, height hug contents. Okay, there we go. And let's go ahead and do this. All right, now we got this acting like a flex, and you can see, oops. When we move this, it's going to snap to the top. All right, I am going to remove the auto layout though on the actual main frame or artboard. I always go back and forth. It just helps me build. Now, let's go ahead and complete this last part. This part is going to be a lot easier right here. Let's create this banner. Real quick, let me see. Are there any questions before we get to this last stretch? How long have we been going? Dang, an hour and a half. Okay, nothing yet. Let's go ahead and take this home. Let's wrap this one up. I am just going to paste the content. You could also just use lorem ipsum when you are doing this exercise. And this is very, very simple. I'm just going to go over here, select on my header, and we are going to do header XXL. Okay, let's go ahead and connect the color. And for this, it is using the black. Let's take a look at the font size. Let's inspect this. Wow, it's just this is super AI right here. This is what AI websites will give you. They won't give you H tags, they'll give you divs. Oh boy, that is bad. I got a video coming out about this too coming up pretty soon because I've been seeing way too many websites or way too many, I shouldn't say websites, people saying they are making all this money off of vibe coding. And there's no way when you get results like this. I just don't see it. But anyways, that's a rant for another video. Okay, it's 64 pixels. So what I'm going to do here is just update my variable. This time go to my typography. My header, we're just going to go to 64. And this is where we start to make the adjustments inside the design as we are building stuff out. Okay, now this one, oh no, go back. All right, this is going to be our normal text medium. And our color is going to be that light color. It's going to be the 500 that we had. And let's see, let's get the information so we could get it right. Oh, it's actually a 300. So it is light and 20 pixels. Okay, so let me go to my variables. Okay, so it's going to be a text L. I already have a 20 pixel one set up. And let me make sure it has a 300 font weight to it. No, it doesn't. Okay, let me change that to 300 and 300. All right, let's add width to it. Again, for the variables, I'm just going to choose on width. And not 500. 500 doesn't look right. 750. Okay, this looks right. And it is centered, I believe. Let's go ahead and auto layout this. All right, we're going to call this opening paragraph. Just going to put it, I'm just going to call, paragraph. No, not paragraph. Text group. Banner text. Okay. And let's go ahead and align this all to the middle. You can see here we got gaps. We need to fix those gaps. And we got gap. It's a bigger gap than that. Maybe we need a minimum. Inspect. How big is a gap? Oh, it's only 16 pixels. Okay, we'll keep it at 20. All right, let's set or align that. All right, cool. Now let's go ahead and make this video. I am going to just download this image, and then we'll make that little play button. Okay, and what's the width of the image? It's 900 pixels. So let's go to custom width. And we got one that's 1,000. Now I could add another 900 pixel to it, like another variable I could go in. but this is going, we need to wrap this up. All right. We're going to put in border radius again with the variable, type in radius, and we'll go with the 20. That should be good right there. Okay. Now let's go ahead and create that graphic. It looks like we have, okay, just two circles and a rectangle. Super easy. All right. Let me come up over here. All right. Duplicate that. Pull that one in. All right, let's go ahead, and this one just is white with some opacity in it. So I'll go to my library, give it a white color. This is going to be black and solid. Again, to the library. And then let's go ahead and get my tool, create my triangle. And okay, there's a little bit of border radius on it. And again, it's going to be white. So let me choose that color. Add some border radius. And I'll just put 2 pixels. Okay, that looks good. Let's go ahead and select all of it. Make sure it's all center aligned. And I am going to group it. But this needs an opacity because I can see a little bit of that opacity. And we could do that here inside of the appearance. Now, I could go to my variables, type in opacity because I created an opacity library of variables. And in the website, you should have this as well. Okay, we'll put it at 90%. And now let's just put it on top. Let's see. Should we make it? Okay, we need a more opaque. Let's take it to 75. Okay, that looks a lot better. Let's see the size. Inspect that. Okay, it doesn't really give like the full size. 130 around there. Okay, you know what I'm gonna do though? I am going to outline that stroke. So when I shrink, when I shrink this, okay. Now right here, we could go to width and create it, but this is one of those situations where, you know what? You could create a custom width. I say right here, I would just put in 130. That's, oops. We need to connect this so it maintains that. That's good enough. Let's do this. All right. Group both of these. And this time we're just going to make a group. And this is going to be a video. And we are going to wrap this one up. Okay. We're going to connect both of these. All right, we do got to do the buttons. I can't, the buttons are part of this banner. We got to do both of them. Let me create the buttons first. Now, I need to get components made. That's my next step is components to save time on these buttons. Let me put in Trimantis or Trimanus. Okay. And this looks like it is 16 pixels, I believe. Yep. Okay. We're going to go ahead and put in the button text, medium, but I did notice one thing. The button text is actually semi-bold, so let me just update that here. So this is going to be 600 because we're trying to get those little details. It's those it takes so much, it takes longer, as you can see by the time of this video, how long we've been going, but it's going, it's like digging in and trying to find these little details, understand how much of a gap there is. These little tiny things are training your eyes, or training your skills. You're developing and building skills doing them. That's the reason why I want to just fly ahead and just guess things, but that doesn't really teach and build skills like what the objective of this series is supposed to do. So bear with me. All right. Let's go ahead and I am just going to, let me see, frame this, auto layout it. I'm going to call this one left button. And then for this one, we are going to make sure it's centered. For the width, we are going to do a fixed width on this one. Because if we look at these are both the same exact width. It's not about the padding. They gave a width to these. So let's see what that width is. 269 pixels. Seeing numbers like that breaks my heart. Just round it up to 270 or down to 260, even better. We're going to do 260 because because we want to do things right. Okay, this one is the black one, so let's go ahead and fill it. Let's go ahead and give the white color to it. It is going to be this one right here. And then let's go ahead and give it some padding. If we were to dig in a bit more, we'll take a look how much padding. Okay, one rem, so 16 pixels padding top and bottom. And then we don't need to worry about left and right. So top and bottom, let's go to our variables. Padding, and we do have one for 16. Now let's go ahead and give a border radius, and it is going to be full. Okay, radius, and we're going to have our full radius. Awesome. Let's go ahead and just duplicate this, and I'm going to call this one right button. And this time it is going to be that very light gray. We're going to call it download the app. Let me make sure. Okay, I want to make sure I get the capitalization correct as well. Okay, fill. We're going to take this okay, maybe one step up. Perfect. Awesome. Okay, now we are looking. In fact, it is too dark. Okay. Dope. All right. And now let's go ahead and auto layout this. And we're going to call this button group. Fix that. Okay, now we got all of our elements in here. We're going to do the same thing that we did with the header. We're going to work our way out with containers until we have an actual section for our banner, and then we're going to set up that section. So let's go ahead and connect it. We already have a container here for our content. Now we need to, you know what? We could just create one for all these. Let's go ahead and auto layout this. Let's frame it, auto layout it, and we're going to call this inner container. All right. And now from here, we're going to add our gap. But check it out. There is more padding here than down here. So we got to figure out a way to make that happen. Let's go ahead and first see what they did here. See if we could get any idea of it. And not much. No, they didn't really give us much to work with. Okay. I'm sure I could dig in a bit more. Like there's 70 pixels padding on the top. There's about another, I don't know, about 20 on the bottom. So I'm just going to put 80 or 100. And for this situation, got to kind of eyeball it. So let's go here to our, to variable. Let's put in gap. And we do have an 80 gap. So let's go ahead and use that. Now, right away, you can see something is wrong. These are not inside of the container, which means we need to fix something. We got to dive in and diagnose why is this broken. Now, first, let me make sure we have the right gap here. It's 20 pixel gap. I can fix that really quickly. And then we'll find out why this is not in here like it's supposed to be. Let's start with the outer container. Okay. And that is going to be the height. So a lot of the times, this is where you're going to find the issue, the fixed height. Select on hug, and now the container is going to hug around the content. If you go, this is like the difference with absolute. No, forget that. I don't want to keep going too far. Let's wrap this one up. Okay, but here, this is the challenge, right? How do we get this? And I do have a solution, but I don't really like it. I got a solution for this. Okay, we're going to get around 80 pixels gap here and 60 pixels here. And we're not going to break auto layout doing it. So what we're going to do first is go back and set this to, I should have a 60. Yep, we're going to set it to 60. And now for this one, because this is using auto layout, I could use padding, open it up, and give it a padding bottom. Bam! Just like what we were doing if we were building a website. This is a reason why I wanted to do this, because I know a lot of you are what you watch my other videos on creating websites, building them, and there's this disconnect between, or I shouldn't say disconnect. There is this feeling of Figma is too hard to use, so why do it if we're just going to build everything inside of Elementor? But it's a very important step. And I think if you were to connect and show the connection, it makes it a lot more viable to use. Okay, let's go add the padding. And I'm going to give it a padding bottom of 20. So now we achieve that. And then now the last part, we need to add an outer container to this. Let me see. Do I have any more tea? My throat's getting dry. All right. So we have the inner container, but now we need to set it up so that way we got the right spacing on the top and the bottom. And we need to go ahead and auto layout this again. And if we open it up, you can see now the inner container is inner, and this is going to be our outer container or our section. I'm going to call this one section banner so it's easy to identify. Now, the sections, you can stretch this all the way out to the edges. This is the only one that I am going to stretch out to the edges. The containers I want to contain. And I'm going to contain them using the same methodology that I am using when building a website. So first, let's take a look, make sure everything is right, because I could kind of see some things aren't. I see there's this little bit of spacing. So something's happening. Let me see what is happening. Okay, hug content. I'm good with that. I think it's this inner. Let me see if I could find out. Something is happening. Okay, the 10 pixels. I believe it was that. Okay, yeah, there was that 10 pixel that was going on. When you set auto layout, gaps automatically form. You see right here, there's something as well. I got to figure that out. There's a gap right here. And that's inside of the banner. We have some padding right here. So let's remove the padding. Don't just ignore it. If you see something that is off, let me put auto. Hold up. There we go. But still, hold up. Something is off here. Okay, I need a. There we go. All right, hug it. It was set to. Now it is flush against. Okay, I know it's a pain in the butt, but it is super important. Let's go ahead and center all of this up right here. And now let's go ahead and give it some spacing. So first, let me turn off this grid. Let me go back over here to the actual like outer frame of everything. And I'm going to turn this into auto layout. I'm also going to remove this. Wait. Oh, where's this gap coming from? Huh? Okay, remove that gap. Okay, let's go ahead and give it the padding. So we set it up the top and bottom, and we're just going to go to our spacing and use our variables. Oh, sections. Like honestly, I don't know how some people do no, not left and right. I don't know how some people are able to do the streams for like 3 hours. Okay, let's see top and bottom. Okay, way too much. We don't need all that. Let's see, maybe the XXL. That's even too much. The XL, this looks a lot better. Okay, this is good right here. So we have it. Everything, as you can see, is hugging those blue lines. And check this out. If you were to move this around, it is just like, when we are building it this way, using your containers and building everything out in sections and treating it this way. Think of it like when you're using a page builder, you're able to drag and drop sections all around. And then as we continue on in the next live stream, where we create the rest of this, uh, you're going to see how we could do this to all of our sections. Now, the next live stream, I'm probably going to talk a lot less, and I'm just going to put on some music and go. Let me go ahead and move this over and stop the screen share because we are done for the night. But I want to make sure it can answer all questions. All right, I'm going to catch up on all this now. Let's see here. Okay, the Figma plugin, that's good. HTML to Fig plugin. I'm going to have to check that out. It's all good. We'll be back. In fact, we're going to be doing a whole lot of these streams coming up. I don't know if they're going to be this long though. I'll figure out a way. All right. Oh yeah. I like to move it around. I don't know. It's just the way I've always done it, and I know using it on the bottom could be easier at times. Sometimes I also just set it up for responsiveness, but it's just the way that I use it. It's just, I guess, my habit. My brain works really well with it. I know, right? Hey, AI, this is what happens that's what happens when you have AI. Oh, you didn't even see this, Dennis. They didn't even have an H1. It's a div. No H tags in the site. The source code. Okay, if Elementor will add Tailwind CSS support, will you use it? That's a very good question. Up to now, like I remember when I was like new, I dabbled in it, and then I was using like Bootstrap when I was like brand new to like coding like 9 years ago, and then Tailwind. But then when I jumped to WordPress, I just stopped using it. But then when I got into bricks, I started getting back into frameworks. And I went in with ACSS, core framework. Now I'm looking at ATF, and I think yes is probably the short answer. And another part though that I would like to add is, can I just put my own framework? Because I do like the big frameworks like Tailwind, but for like really big projects. But sometimes for something that's a little bit more smaller, I kind of like just like my own little system that I use. But it is based off of, uh very similar. But I do hope that they bring support for frameworks. That is definitely going to be a game changer. Dennis uses a Bootstrap. Hey dude, no shame in Bootstrap. Dude, Bootstrap is OG and it still works to this day. But yeah, it would have been nice to see, like, actually, uh we saw an example right now of like the source code of Manus, how it's just divs. It's terrible. The sort the you could tell it's like really bad AI built, generated source code inside of it. But not all AI is like that. I got a friend of mine who just built his business's site, and he built it. He first started it off in Bolt, then in Replit, and he used Tailwind and Next.js and built a full out like proper site. But this was like tons and tons of work. He does have a background where he did some development work, back in the days. So he knew a bit more about it, but he also knew a lot about SEO. He knows all about SEO. He knows how important, proper semantic tags are, how important clean code is. So he wouldn't touch any of those website building apps, like AI tools. But there are tools out right now and proper ways to build things with AI to come out with clean source code. Just a lot of these other tools, they just don't do it. Yeah, that's it right there. That's what a framework does. It just makes your life more easier. And I'm trying to do that with Figma right now. I'm trying to incorporate it with Figma, the same principles, and using the variables. And I wish that they would open it up a little bit more. It would be nice to have a little bit more of a class focused system in Figma. And I feel like it's kind of getting close to it. Just theoretically, the way a lot of things work, very similar. How at least, they moved over to like Flex. So I hope to see that, inside of the future. Well, hey, I'm going to be wrapping this up now. Almost 2 hours. I wasn't planning. I thought this was going to be a 1 hour vibe. I thought this was going to be a 1 hour session. But I appreciate you all for sticking around, following. And well, I'm going to sign off right now because it's time to go to bed. So thank you. See you soon. We will be back in a couple more days with part 2. So see you there.